Now, early voting. This isn't getting a whole lot of news because, it's not as sexy as voting for president or even governor. But these elections are the ones that hit your pocketbook every month, just like your federal taxes, these property taxes that you pay, these school taxes, these bonds that are on the ballot. This is where it's controlled. And early voting starts today. If you're in Dallas County, from today, tomorrow, next day, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. April 27th, the Sunday is noon to 6 p.m. And then Monday and Tuesday of next week, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. See how it changes? So go check it out. I saw this on Dallas Morning News, but I'm sure there's many other places you can find it. There's almost the exact same schedule for Tarrant County. They have 2 more hours. They open 2 hours earlier on Sunday. Collin County only has the same thing pretty much, except they're closed on Sunday. Denton County, similar schedule as well. Now, for most of you, I've been going through the ballots that different people listening to the show would get. And there's a lot of you who are just going to go vote on like 3 school board seats or 1 city council seat. But there's a couple of things that I'm going to be watching that aren't just people trying to get into positions of power. And that's 2 big bond issues. There's one that's in Plano. They call it Propositions A through G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Had it all up, $648 million in bonds are. Listen, this is broken into 7 propositions because it's going to be covering streets, public safety facilities, fleet operations, parks, library renovation. But listen, if you're just the average run-of-the-mill homeowner, your tax bill will go up $134. Not a month, a year. But when Dallas Morning News says the cost is well worth it, you should probably vote against it. Listen, it's important to remember these aren't vanity projects. They're investments in Plano's ability to deliver key services at the high level residents have come to enjoy and expect. Now, how about you just take my existing tax dollars and do the same thing with it? Can you please? Because if I give you this money to spend on the streets, that money you were otherwise going to spend on the streets will go to vanity projects, will be wasted. Money's fungible. You can't just say, oh, yeah, all this money's only going to be used for good stuff. Because even if that's true, it's just going to free up the other money to be wasted on dumb things like theater and dart. But next one we're talking about, I have a guest coming in the next segment in Frisco to talk about this Frisco Center for the Arts. Oh, my goodness. This one's just terrible, too. They say it's going to cost like $192 million. But when you add up all the interest payments and whatnot, $340 million. This is on top of the 1.4 something billion that Frisco already has in outstanding bonds, debt that you guys have hanging over your head. But do you really need a 3,000 seat hall to host Broadway level shows? If it really is that important and that popular, wouldn't there be a private sector entrepreneur to build that for you that doesn't have to be at taxpayer cost? That way, if it fails, then that's his money that gets wasted and not yours. We'll talk about that next on The James Show. What do you think? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Me, if it's a proposition where they're asking to take out debt in your name, just vote no on all of them. They're almost all terrible ideas. I think 1% of the ones I've seen in my entire life weren't terrible ideas. Early voting starts today across North Texas, and some of the stuff that's on your ballot isn't making big news because it doesn't really affect anybody outside of your community, but it definitely affects you. So study up before you go vote. Maybe you vote early, maybe you vote on election day. Just know what you're voting for, and if you don't know what you're voting for, put no. Can we do that? My next guest running for office up in Frisco, Burt Thacker. Am I saying that? Is it Thacker or Thakur?
It's Thacker.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me on, James.
All right. So I was reading up a little bit on your background. You're a legal immigrant, round of applause, and Navy veteran who's now running for office in Frisco. Give us a little bit better background before we jump into this Frisco bond proposal.
Absolutely. So my name is Burt Thacker. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I served honorably during 9/11. Technically, I'm a combat veteran. I was deployed in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And during that time, I renounced my Indian citizenship and became an American citizen because I love our country. I was a nuclear reactor operator in the Navy, but I know how to walk with kings and lose the common touch because I'm a man of the people. I've driven Uber. I've worked in a warehouse. Now I commission hyperscale data centers for a very large company. And here's a fun fact. I won Jeopardy. I appeared on the last episode of Jeopardy with Alex Trebek.
Shut up. Was that not on your website? I didn't see that. All right, so now you're running for Frisco City Council, and let me ask you, Bert, how do you feel about this proposal to spend $300-something million to build a new big fat Broadway theater in Frisco?
Vote no on Prop A and D, for the love of God.
Amen. Amen. I don't know if you heard was I talking about that yesterday or Friday? I was making fun of that on
a Friday.
Friday, okay, yeah, I was making fun of that on a previous show. So you agree with me on that. What's your reasoning? Explain to the people why you think the theater's a bad idea.
Do we really think spending $160 million of our hard-earned tax dollars that should be going to build our roads, building our sidewalks, heck, it could be used to attract good-paying businesses. Part of that money is coming from something known as the TERS, which should be used for our schools. And instead of building company or attracting companies that align with President Trump's incentives for manufacturing, energy, as well as pharmaceutical research and next generation AI, we're spending it on boondoggle projects like this, where the backs of the average American taxpayer are being used to pad the pockets of billionaire developers. And I'm against it. I think if the need for the arts is a big need, they should come at this with money in escrow as opposed to making us fund nearly half of this project when we could be using it for all of these other things. Imagine if we had power plants, data centers, good paying jobs, things that pay $100,000 a year and fix our roads. Let's take care of us first.
Well, Bert, I also want to stress that I am not completely against public funding of theaters. We pretty much have a theater on every school campus. So if you want to have a Broadway play, maybe you just need to have it at one of those. Do we really need like a standalone theater project? But also, I don't think this is in your jurisdiction, but you probably have some strong opinions on it. Some of the money for this project is coming from Prosper ISD because in a previous election cycle, the voters had approved a bond of $100 million to build a new theater there. And instead of getting a theater on Prosper ISD campus, it's just going to be thrown in with this Frisco project. And that doesn't seem very ethical, Bert.
That's precisely the point. So right now, Frisco ISD is building a project for $54 million. The thing is gorgeous. It looks like Lincoln Center. So why do we need to build another one to compete with Prosper ISD getting the bulk of it? And the way it's set up is that Prosper ISD gets to have 80% first right of refusal. Broadway across America is going to be doing 20% of this, and 20% is up to us to be able to do the O&M costs. So as an alternative, what I'm saying is, why aren't we utilizing the theater that's already being built with our bond dollars, mind you, that we can bring Broadway across Dallas to do shows on the weekends? Why aren't we attracting film festivals and using Frisco as a filming location? Let's build an art scene as opposed to spending almost with cost overruns and inflation. The one thing they haven't even spoken about is a parking lot that they'll have to build that some estimates are saying is $75 million. This is all coming from bonds. And Prop B states, point blank, if we are unable to raise this money via sales tax, then the city has the right to go out and issue bonds with ad valorem taxes backing it.
Well, I also feel like what's the worst case scenario if everyone votes no on this? You have to do it at a smaller theater to have a production. You might have to drive all the way to Plano for a bigger theater, or God forbid Dallas for it. Or I mean,
McKinney is building one for $300 million. Troy Aikman is its front person selling those seats. We have a beautiful facility right here in Frisco that the ISD is building. But more importantly, should we really be using a funding vehicle that's removing the ability for us to fix our roads, fix our sidewalks, fix our infrastructure? Is that what we should prioritize? We don't have an animal shelter built. We don't have a VA clinic. Single moms with kids with disabilities are coming up to me every day saying, hey, we've got no place to put our kids when they turn 18. I'm terrified of losing my income. We have traffic that is a mess. And with my opponent voting for Universal Studios, which is going to bring arguably 20+ thousand people a day, our traffic mitigations are going to go insane. So before we jump into all these vanity projects, why aren't we taking care of our needs first, as opposed to trying to make Frisco into a destination?
All right. I like this BERT guy. Let me put you up to the real test. What's your thoughts on DART?
DART, we have, let's leave DART. DART comes with a lot of strings attached to it, okay? And if we get DART going all around our areas, it's not well regulated. That's my opinion.
Well, I think you're soft towing around me because you don't understand. I hate Dart with the hot heat of 1,000 suns. I think it needs to be ended. Rip up all the tracks and write an apology note to the taxpayers of North Texas.
We are literally spending money in these boondoggle projects that are costing us billions of dollars without any proper movement, and that's what I'm talking about. Let's just cut the noise, man. We don't have a good public transportation system, and if Dart is the only answer, what are we doing?
All right, thank you very much. I'm just out of time here. BertForFrisco.com. Bert, the number 4, Frisco.com. All right, hang on. We'll make fun of Earth Day in just a second. I think I have a good call here in response to, because today's early voting. That's our top local story of the day. Are you going to go out, make your voice heard? These elections affect you every month that escrow is added to your mortgage payment. This is what controls that, so go out and do something about it. I was encouraging people to vote no on pretty much every bond proposal that I've seen, and I don't think I've seen them all, but it's been my experience that most of them, I almost always oppose them. So 800-288-9227. This is Karen in Plano. You're on WBAP. Your thoughts?
Hi there.
Hey.
Okay. So, yes, I'll get out and vote for one thing, but I heard you earlier. This is a totally different topic. Sorry. I heard you earlier talking about the DART buses, and I don't know how many ride the big DART buses, but I was just going to chime in and say the small DART buses really help a lot for those of us who have kids with disabilities. The older ones, they might have a job. My son goes to My Possibilities in Plano, and he goes at times that I'm at work, so I just leave him the money. He gets on the DART bus. They take him there. They pick him up and bring him home. So that's a positive about the DART bus. I don't know about the big ones, but the small ones really help a lot.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not saying no one ever gets any services out of DART whatsoever, but I think a good metaphor that I've used in past shows that seems to resonate with people is, let's say instead of your kid having special needs, your kid's hungry. And so what if we start a program to send him a pizza once a week? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't you get something good out of it?
Yeah.
Okay, but what if each pizza costs $1,000? Is that still a good program?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, so you can still get services out of it, but if it comes from a terribly inefficient system, then it's not a net good overall.
Well, it's a net good for parents like me who can't get my kid back and forth from a job or to where he needs to go. So that helps out a lot. It's like they've gone up a little. So it's like $7 a day, 3.5 there, 3.5 back. I'm at work. I can't do all this. And I know a lot of others that have, older kids. Mine's 29, but we've been doing this for 7 years. And I mean, I couldn't do it without it.
No, I'm sympathetic to your cause, but if we just turned off DART tomorrow and instead of forcing you to go use their services as you're using them now, and we just cut a check to you, you could cover this yourself, and not only cover it yourself, but be able to go whenever you want and not be stuck on their schedule, on their time, on their pickup and drop off locations and things like that. It's a terribly inefficient system. I'm not going to argue that no one gets anything good out of it, but at the cost, it just doesn't make any sense because we're spending.
I totally agree on the big stuff, the big buses, but they come.
But just the one for you, you like that
little vans, and it's great times, all that kind of stuff. So that was just my positive to put in on the DART thing. Okay. Just wanted to let you know.
Fair enough. That's Karen in Plano. Thank you very much.